Hello, hello. If you are listening to this, that means that I am officially out on maternity leave, which is so fun and so weird to say. As I'm filming this, I still have about another 8 weeks to go, but we're working ahead. If you listened to last week's episode, you know that I bashed out weekly podcasts as part of my maternity leave prep. So stay tuned. We still got episodes coming at you every single week. They are action and value packed. I promise you will enjoy them. So let's jump into it. Today, we're going to be talking about getting started on Instagram when posting feels scary or uncomfortable. And this is a question that I get quite a bit in the DMs, especially when I'm talking about the Reels membership or the Private Practice Academy bundle. I'll get DMs from folks who are like, hey, I want these results that you're getting, but I'm really afraid to start showing up on Instagram. Do you have any tips for how to get started? And that's really what I'm looking forward to jumping in with you today. I want to start off by normalizing that discomfort is totally okay. And it is very, very normal. If you have never posted on Instagram outside of like a personal way that you're like sharing photos from a vacation or, of your kids or whatever, of course you're going to feel weird showing up and creating reels that advertise your business. That is very normal, right? It is scary to show up and do something new. It is scary to be seen. And it's normal to feel uncomfortable and not like super excited about doing that at first. But I think as therapists, we all know that you kind of have to do things despite those negative feelings, right? Like think of this as behavioral activation and do it scared. Don't wait for the motivation to hit. Don't wait for the anxiety to evaporate. Don't wait till you feel all the confidence because you will be waiting around forever in order for that to happen. The way that you are going to feel more motivated, the way that you are going to feel more confident, the way that you are going to feel less scared is by doing the thing, right? Like doing that thing again and again is going to build that confidence. It's going to get you the results. It's going to get you the feel good feelings that you are doing things right. And that is what's going to make it easier. So I just want to start off by saying, like, so normal you are uncomfortable, so normal that you are afraid, so normal that this doesn't feel good. And if you are somebody who's like, yes, and I keep on returning to your Instagram page, or I keep returning to this podcast, or I keep scrolling, Instagram, my feed is full of therapists who I look up to and I wish that I could do what they are doing, know that that is a sign that you are still acting in line with like your own integrity, your own values, like who you are as a person by taking this next step and deciding to post despite the fear and despite the anxiety. So starting is often the hardest part, but once you're doing it, you are going to get more and more comfortable, and that's going to be how you move past these fears. And I just want to say, like, I 100% felt this too. I know that it is hard to believe, but I have been on Instagram now for 5 years. And so now it comes really naturally to me. Now I don't really give, rats behind about what I post. I don't care if I'm posting, tired or with no makeup or how I look or if a reel doesn't land or whatever, because I've done this like literally thousands of times. But I started having no experience with Instagram, right? And I was really embarrassed and afraid to be posting. I felt super, super awkward. And I didn't even tell like friends or family or anything that I was starting my Instagram page until I got to 500 followers. For me, I think I was less scared of like the judgment of random people. Like that part almost felt easier to me because it felt very anonymous. But the idea that like somebody from my life, like a friend, my parents, a coworker would come across my Instagram and see this content and see me trying felt like mortifying. And so that stopped me from starting for a long time. And it wasn't till I got to 500 followers that I actually like shared on my own personal Instagram page, like, hey, I started this Instagram page called Sit with Kelly. Like, go ahead and follow it, check it out. And I started to like sort of share my reels there and stories sometimes and stuff. And I was so surprised by people's reaction in a very positive way. Like so many friends and family members and coworkers and people from college I hadn't talked to in forever were so supportive. They were my biggest cheerleaders. They were commenting on stuff. They were liking stuff. They were following. They were replying to my stories. And that felt really good, right? Like I think that I needed that time of doing it in private for a little bit to feel like I could discover my voice and not have to worry about what those people were going to think. And once I shared with them, it was really positive and really nice. So I just wanted to sort of share that as well. And then also that you have like full permission to block anybody that is living rent free in your head, right? So, like, if you are generally scared of just like, what if people in my life see this? Okay, fine. Like, we're going to probably need to come to terms with if that's going to happen. But if there's like one, two, three people who you're like, I'm really scared of my mother in law seeing this, or I'm really scared of that boss from 2 jobs ago who talked trash about therapists on Instagram seeing this, or I'm really scared about, um, whatever, like this one person I went to high school with, like, you are allowed to hide or block those people and like take that out of your mental space, right? Like, so if there's anybody in particular who's really standing out to you and getting in your way, hide or block them. Like, they do not need to see your content. That is okay. We can give yourself that easy way out here. So, if you are brand new to Instagram and you are just getting started, you are probably feeling pretty hung up on this idea of creating your first post. And I think that that is such a shame because your first post is literally the least important post you are ever going to make in your entire life because truly nobody is going to see it. If you have 0 followers, that post is going to get seen by 10 or 20 random people. Instagram has no idea who you are, where you're located, what your content is about, who's going to like it. The algorithm is brand new to you, right? So it's not going to go viral. It's not going to perform really well. And so by like telling yourself that you need to find the perfect post, you are really just getting in the way of getting started and starting to like build those reps and get that confidence. I would really recommend like skipping the fancy introductions and just ripping off the band-aid, right? Like, take a random trend, make a random Instagram graphic, take something from the Reels membership, take something in your feed that you see and recreate it yourself, but post something today. Don't spend more than 20 minutes on it, and know that all that we're trying to accomplish here is showing yourself that you can do it and that nothing bad is going to happen, right? Like, that is the only thing we need to accomplish with your first post. It does not need to be perfectly branded. It doesn't need to be perfectly niche down. Again, it doesn't need to be like this big introduction. No one's going to see it. No one knows who you are yet, right? If you want to do an introduction post and that's not giving you scaries and that actually feels easier to you, go ahead and do it because truly it does not matter. But like, in terms of like a strategy perspective, I think you're probably better off introducing yourself after 2 weeks or after a month or after 90 days or something. When you have a few hundred followers, you have a few hundred people who are actually interested in your content, are seeing it, are following you, and are like, hey, who are you? Tell me more about you. What are the little fun facts about you, your little quirkiness, right? But in the beginning, you're going to be announcing that to 0 people. So I wouldn't spend too much time on it, and really just try and rip the band-aid and get things out there. I think setting a 20-minute timer and forcing yourself to let done be better than perfect on that first post is so helpful. The other thing I really want you to try and do from like a mindset perspective is like let go of this idea that things need to be perfect before you dive in. Oftentimes, I hear therapists telling themselves that they'll start once XYZ thing is in place, right? Once they figure out their niche or they figure out their bio or they've told their job that, they're going to start their practice on the side, or, they got this license in place, or they finished their EMDR training or whatever. And that to me is just like another form of avoidance showing up and of you staying small and staying in your comfort zone. You are never going to be in like a perfect place where you are 100% well positioned to start on Instagram and take off immediately and have all this booming success. Most of us have to learn as you go, right? Like, that is going to be how you get better. It's going to be how your Instagram improves. It's going to be how your marketing improves. It's going to be how you get more clarity on your niche. So just do the thing, right? Learn as you go and give yourself permission to shift and pivot based on what's working and what's resonating with your audience. And trust that you'll give yourself permission to change your mind, right? So when I started my Instagram page, I really did not have a clear idea on what my niche was. I thought I was going to talk about anxiety. I thought I was going to talk about perfectionism. I thought I was going to talk about people pleasing. I thought I was going to talk about boundaries. I thought I was going to talk about body image. So I had like a lot of different things that I wanted to talk about. And I wasn't really clear on a niche. I had like no brand colors. I had none of that. And I sort of like discovered with time who it was that I enjoyed working with, what sort of content I enjoyed creating. You've probably heard me say this before if you're a longtime listener, but I discovered like perfectionism was not for me. Like, a lot of what I post is for myself. Like, I think that I am my own favorite client, or like a past version of me is my own favorite client, but the perfectionism content like hit too close to home for me, especially in the beginning, because I was like really struggling to show up, kind of some what I'm talking about here that maybe you're resonating with. But this idea that I was going to post content about trying to overcome perfectionism as I was in the middle of like doing something new, or my perfectionism was being triggered, was very impossible for me. So like I would write a post that literally was like a Canva graphic that said like, you don't have to do everything perfectly. Like you have permission to make mistakes. And I would spend like hours trying to read blog posts about perfectionism. I would try and dissect it. I would try and determine like, is this like bad to tell people they can mess up? Like I was so in my head about it. And so I just ditched the perfectionism thing, right? Like, and that's okay. Some of my clients still have perfectionistic tendencies. I'm able to support them with that in therapy, but that's not like what I'm speaking to on Instagram, because it was too much for me. It was not fun for me to create that sort of content. And so I trusted myself that I could make that decision, right? I wasn't like, well, when I started posting, I picked perfectionism. And so now I'm stuck here forever and ever and ever, and I can never let this go. You can give yourself permission to start something, to see what feels good, and to change and adapt. But the only way that you're going to learn what feels good is by doing the thing and by posting, right? Your audience wants to see the real and authentic you. And that is more important than any like research you have to do for a post, any brand colors, any like, did I get this trend right? Like, show up as yourself, come as you are, come, with whatever amount of makeup you wear to session normally. Do not go more full glam than that. And just know that you can like show up as a human, and that is actually going to be your biggest growing point when you figure out how to be comfortable enough that you can actually show up authentically on social media. That's really going to be when everything changes for you. And that's not to say, again, that you should like wait to start until you figure that out. You're going to get better at that as you show up more naturally over time with practice. But almost like the less curated version is going to perform better. So showing up before you've gotten really good at it when you're still messy is like a huge, huge, huge strength. So let's talk about like what to actually post. When I'm talking here, I'm mostly talking about in-feed content. So this could be reels or it could be graphics. And I do recommend that therapists do a combination of both. It does sort of set you aside and apart from like an influencer or a mental health creator when you are creating educational graphics that provide value to people. I think that they help position you as an authority. I think they help grow your following. And most importantly, I think they help to build trust with your audience, which does help you to actually get therapy clients from Instagram and not just random followers. So I do recommend having a combination of both. You can start with whatever feels less intimidating to you. If it feels easier for you to start with a graphic, do a graphic. If it feels easier for you to do a reel, do a reel, right? And you have lots of different styles for reels. So I'll share in the Reels membership, we do like 4 different styles every week, and I will talk through them. I think that they are the main sort of like easy styles for therapists to emulate. You do not need fancy day in the life vlogs. You don't need fancy like skits and stuff. Like we can keep things really simple. So first step is lip syncing. So this is where there's like a trending audio. Maybe there's like a little clip or something from a TV show or a song or whatever. And your job as the Instagram creator is to lip sync that little 5 or 7 second video and then throw some text on top. Those can be really, really easy to post, in that they are quite simple to film and to edit. They're quite simple to figure out, like, how am I going to adapt this? What can I say to make this apply to my niche as a therapist? But sometimes they're hard for folks who like take themselves really seriously as a therapist. So if that is coming across as like, oh, I don't know, I'm not ready to embrace that side, we can skip it and move on to a different style for the first one. B-roll is also very easy. So this is where you are filming yourself doing anything random in your day. Maybe you're sitting on your couch and opening a therapy book. Maybe you're making your iced coffee. Maybe you are putting your hair up in a ponytail. Maybe you're pouring yourself a can of Diet Coke. Maybe you're taking your dog on a walk, right? Like it could literally be anything. It's just like a 7 second clip of you living your life. And then we're going to throw some text on top with a trending sound. You could do a multi-part acting reel. We always include these in the Reels membership every week. So like you could do 4 hidden signs of anxiety people don't want you to see. And then you act out each of those 4 signs in like different 3-second clips, right? That can be like a fun, easy way to sort of provide education that's still visually captivating. Or you can just talk directly to camera, right? Like if that feels easier to you, to just go ahead and yap, to talk after a session, to share an insight or something, do that. There's no right or wrong answer here. There's no best option, but think about what feels least intimidating to you, not what doesn't feel scary at all, but what feels least intimidating, and pick that and get started. In terms of like what to actually post, so like we talked about like format, like how do you come up with the idea? What do you figure out what to say? What should you talk about? I think that it is really helpful to think about who you want to work with, and you don't have to have this perfectly figured out, but think about who your ideal client is. And this might be people that you're already working with in your practice. It might be yourself. It might be a friend or a family member. But think about that and then brainstorm what are some things that they struggle with? What are common themes that are coming up in session or in conversation? And how can we sort of like talk about some of that on Instagram? It can be hard to know, like, how do I take those lessons or those themes and like adapt this to content for Instagram, which is really why I've created the Reels membership, to make that quite simple for you. So inside the Reels membership, every single week, I will plan out 4 Reels for you, and I'll give you the trending sound. I'll give you the filming instructions and examples of like, here's the style, set your timer to this amount, like do this in your video. But I'll also tell you like what text to put on screen. And then you can just use those fill in the blank prompts to plug in information for your niche. And that just makes it really, really simple. I'm going to go ahead and read an example here just so that way you can, take this example and run with it. You could use it as your first post if you'd like. Or if you're like, actually, I think this is really helpful. I want content ideas like this every single week. You can sign up for the Reels membership too, and I'm happy to support you in that way. So this is an example that you could do with any sort of trending sound that is like upbeat in the background. And then you can film yourself doing any sort of B-roll situation, right? So the prompt that I want you to follow is POV. You struggle with X and just Y, so you're rewarding yourself with Z. So let me explain what this means. So X is your niche. POV, you struggle with blank niche, and you just Y, which is something like a behavior or habit that you're working on changing. So you're rewarding yourself with Z. Z is a healthy way to celebrate yourself. Now I'm going to go ahead and share some examples, and I give these to you in the Reels membership so you can see what this looks like for different niches. POV, you struggle with postpartum anxiety and just went to bed without double checking that your baby is still breathing. So you're rewarding yourself with an episode of Love Island on the couch, right? So this is perfect for a therapist for moms. Maybe a common theme that you're noticing in session is people talking about double checking that their baby is still breathing. And so we're able to plug this in. Maybe your clients love Love Island. Maybe you love Love Island, right? So we're able to kind of like balance this relatability with, like validation that we understand our clients and their pain points. And it's a super easy, super simple reel. I'll give you another example. Let's say that you are a grief therapist. So POV, you're still grieving the loss of your parent, and you just dropped your kids off with your mother-in-law without crying. So you're rewarding yourself with a little Target trip, right? So we're talking to the people who are grieving, their parent, but they're also still being a parent and having to raise their own kids. And then we're talking about like a little fun connected piece of you're going to Target. Let's talk about another one. If you are a body image or eating disorder therapist, here's another example I give you inside the Reels membership. POV, you struggle with body dysmorphia and just stood in front of the mirror and liked how you looked. So you're rewarding yourself with a guilt-free iced latte, right? Again, we are just kind of like providing these common connection points of, here is the niche, here's the person I'm speaking to, here is something that they are working on changing, a habit they're working on forming, something they're trying to do differently, and then how they can stop and celebrate that. And so I hope that these examples just show you like Reels do not have to be overly complicated. They don't have to be overly educational, but we can take really simple things. You will for sure have the skills to do this. We do not need another clinical training in order to feel like competent enough to do these sorts of Reels. And we can market your practice and start to grow your Instagram and to fill your caseload with private pay clients. But in order to do that, right, we have to start. And that is the only way that you are going to grow your Instagrams. The only way you're going to grow your practice is if you commit to doing things even when you feel uncomfortable and you go ahead and do it anyways. So, in full transparency, yes, the first few posts will feel weird. You will feel awkward and cringy, but I promise that those feelings will fade as you do this more and more over time, as you build confidence, as you get better, as you get less awkward on camera, and most importantly, as you start to see what sort of results can happen when you jump in and you do this Instagram thing for real. So stop waiting for this feeling to pass and just do the dang thing, right? If you want more help as you get started, check out the Reels membership where I will plan your Reels for you. And if you're listening to this episode and deciding to start today, I'm actually going to go ahead and give you a little gift. So DM me the word ideas62, ideas62, all is one word. And I will send you this week's Reels membership email so you can get a little push to help you start. So DM me to my Business of Therapy Instagram account. The word ideas62 is one word, and I will give you for free, no email opt-in required, nothing, this week's Reels membership email. So you can have those 4 examples and really see what the Reels membership is like, what it's all about, and you can create your first weeks of content, right? We are going to rip off the Band-Aid and you are going to do the dang thing so you can start seeing some results and start building momentum and confidence that you can do this. Because Instagram has truly changed my entire freaking life. It changed my entire private practice. It allowed me to do business coaching and brand deals and buy a house and take this maternity leave, which I'm so, so grateful for. And I really just want the same for you. So I hope to see you in my DMs, and we will get those over to you. And I hope to see you creating some content real soon, despite all the anxiety. And I'm cheering you on always, my friends.